It's Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, and man, did this movie have a journey. This movie got pretty ripped apart by critics, had a surprisingly okay audience score, was a big hit the first weekend at the box office, and then dropped hard, man, like really, really hard. Quantumania went from one of Marvel's biggest hits, like, oh man, are they still on top of the A game, to just one of their biggest failures. Like, man, everybody was talking about the drop this movie had. My personal thought was, yeah, it wasn't that good, but it was almost good, kinda. Oh, except for all that stupid, The bottom line, I didn't hate it, I was just a little annoyed by it. I appreciate the legit good things in it, but they were not enough to overshadow the things that are very tired, very dated, and very clearly need to change at Marvel. Now, like I said before, this DisneyCember, this is gonna be a spoiler review. If you wanna know my thoughts without me ruining the story or what happens or anything, go see my Untitled review show about it. I'm definitely gonna ruin some surprises in this, you've been warned. Scott and Hope are living the rich life, quite literally in some respects, as he has a new book that seems to be doing well, and she has her own business, and they also have a daughter who, you guessed it, likes to go to protest, because that's just what writers in their 40s think all kids do now. Like, there's nothing else to it. We don't even know what they're protesting. It's just, oh, protest, so ooh, they fight for stuff that matters, even though we won't say what that stuff is that matters, because, you know, it's a little bit more vague and safe that way. Yeah, I don't like this trope. But to the character's credit, they don't focus on it long, and she's not really that bad. She's not really that good either. As we discover with the entire family, including Hank and Janet, get sucked into the quantum realm because Janet just never really talked about the quantum realm much. I mean, really, all these years later, she never said there's like this evil bad guy down there and what she went through. It's weird, it's bizarre, but whatever. Marvel, comic book, just to make the story plot action happen. I'm not that picky. When they get there, though, they discover this incredible world that's both gigantic and tiny at the same time. Yeah, actually, I dig this idea. I'm liking it so far. But there's an evil ruler named Kang the Conqueror. He, I guess, wants to conquer. That's his thing. He wants to conquer this realm and all realms. And yeah, he's played well, but that's about all I know about him. And yeah, I didn't find him that interesting. Most of the characters in this I did not find interesting, but again, to the film's credit, I didn't usually find them annoying either. Usually, we'll get to that. This guy had such a good lead-in with Loki, sort of playing this different version of himself, but he's kind of like loopy and flaky and both incredibly in control and not in control at the same time, and they just did so much with it. I got so excited. And I like the fact that this Kang is really different from the one we saw in Loki. It is like a completely new person, and that is what I want. But you know what everyone's saying, he's supposed to be the new Thanos, he's the big threat. At the end of the movie, there's like a ton more of him. And if this is his first act of evil, I'm not that impressed because, okay, Thanos was built up. We didn't really know what he was about, and honestly, he was so built up and so vague, people thought they wouldn't be able to follow through on the promises they were giving. He's just not gonna be that threatening. We're sick of him. He hasn't even shown up yet. We're just sick of him. But when he did, his plan was interesting. His backstory was interesting. His thought process was interesting. Everything about him, even if we disagreed with it, was interesting. This guy plays him well, but I don't know what he's about. I don't know why he wants to conquer everything. Why does he even want the quantum realm? Why does he want to expand? What's he gonna do? And then on top of that, he's just kind of taken out of the picture. But again, there's all these different versions that are coming. And good God, seeing these different versions of him like he's in an SNL sketch sure doesn't make me scared of him more. The world itself is probably the best thing about it. I saw this on IMAX in 3D, and I was really glad I did, because again, I didn't take too much out of the movie, but what I did take out of it does stay with me, because I did see it on that big screen with the 3D glasses and everything. And this world does look great. I get the feeling even if you don't see it on the big screen and with the glasses, it's still gonna look really, really good and really creative. So it is nice to see an Ant-Man movie where things go really big in scale, pardon the pun, and I actually really like a scene where he acts a lot like an ant. Like, there's kind of all these different versions of him, and they're all like panicking, not knowing what to do, but then they all kind of work as a hive mind, and they try to build up to something, and it's kind of different minds, but one mind at the same time, kind of like how ants work. It's really clever. I honestly really wanted more stuff like that. Like, if there's just an army of hims going after the bad guy, that would kind of be interesting. Like, make the fight abstract, just something different, but it's just another big army, a Star Wars fight, something that, yes, is grand and big, but I don't really know much what they're fighting over, what they're fighting about. The family dynamic isn't that interesting because, yeah, there are characters just keeping things from others just to kind of keep things from others, and again, the daughter, while not awful, does kind of feel like an archetype, and all this humor, all this dialogue, it just feels like copy-paste from other Marvel movies. And it's not like they were terrible in other Marvel movies, but they're just old. I mean, how long have they been making these films? At some point, you really gotta change up the ingredients and make something new, because we're just getting sick of the same meal over and over, just with a slightly different spice. For a long time, the image everybody associated with Marvel doing bad was She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, which, yeah, I thought was pretty cringy, but it's a comedy, a streaming comedy. I can cut it a bit more slack. MODOK has become the official mascot for everything that's wrong with Marvel right now. I have seen this picture of him on so many title cards, mine included, as the reason Marvel has been going downhill. So, okay, what is wrong with him? Well, first off, as you can plainly see, it's a terrible effect. In Marvel, we don't always need the effects to look spectacular. There's plenty of movies that have bad effects and they're still good. We like them. But this is just an uncomfortable bad. Nobody likes looking at this thing. You don't look at it and just kind of laugh at how strange it is. Like, I know they were going for. You look at it and you're just uneasy. Second, the idea of taking this bad guy from the first movie that, let's be honest, I think most people have forgotten about, and bringing him back as this character is not the worst, because again, he is a side villain, he is supposed to be kind of a comic relief, but it's not a joke that pays off. And I feel bad because I can see people like in a writing room coming up with this idea, like, hey, remember the bad guy from the first film? Like, didn't something with the quantum realm happen with it? Like, what if he's MODOK? Like, we haven't done MODOK yet, and how are we gonna make that work? Like, there is a nugget of smart in here, but it just isn't executed right. And it doesn't make things better that every scene feels like it's either trying to drag out and interrupt the action or the drama because, you know, that's what Marvel movies do. We start to get dramatic and then we throw in some dumb jokes or over-explaining or something, but they very clearly wanted to turn him into a meme. There's a line about him being an that just, you can tell, was made so that people would put big white text on a GIF. This is coming from someone who has tried to force many cringy memes in the past. I know it when I see it. But here's the thing, this would not be that big a deal. Honestly, I think most people would look past it and kind of forgive it and just move on to whatever the next cool thing is, but that's kind of the problem. There is no next cool thing here. People aren't excited for what Kang's gonna do. Nobody looks at the stadium of different versions of him and is like, uh-oh, I can't wait to see that. Nobody's hearing the lines and are like, wow, I got really invested in that, or oh man, I laughed really hard at this joke or this line, or man, what an amazing story or development I haven't seen from Marvel before. It's just more of the same, but on a bigger scale. Again, the one thing I can say was different was maybe the world itself. The world does look cool and has a lot of imagination in it. I really like looking at the different creatures in the background and everything, but I don't get much of a personality from it. Bill Murray is in this, and he's not in it for long, and yeah, he's been in lots of movies where he's not in it for long. In fact, sometimes his best roles are in movies he's not in very long, but he just feels completely wasted in this. Oh, and I don't mean it that way. Actually, no, you can take it that way too. Take it both ways. He's just not utilized in this. Anyone can play this part. So yeah, look, I don't want to give the impression like this is just a god-awful movie, because I don't think it is. There is a lot to appreciate in it, but the stuff that doesn't work about it is starting to get on our nerves because it just feels too safe, too rehearsed. It's impressive the MCU has come this far and now they're doing streaming shows and all of them have connected. I mean, I'm still blown away any of this happened. I remember being a little kid wishing something like this would happen, and I'm thankful for just all the movies we've gotten and how well put together they did have all this. But yeah, if you're gonna keep us invested in wanting to see more, then you really gotta challenge us more. You gotta give us things we haven't seen, or even stuff we didn't know we wanted to see. That's this film's biggest problem. It's not the worst, it's just way too recycled. And for a cinematic franchise that's lasted this long and tries to get bigger and bigger, you have to do more than just look nice. You have to give us more of, you have to give us more.